directing and controlling, learning objectives. To understand the meaning and nature of direction. Present leadership styles. Present motivation theories. Discuss the meaning and importance of communication. Understand the types and forms of communication. Understand the meaning, importance and techniques of coordination. Present the meaning of controlling. Discuss the essentials of sound control system. Present methods of establishing control. 4.1 Meaning and nature of direction. Direction is a vital managerial function, performed by every manager. Whenever decision is taken, it must be converted into action by proper implementation. Otherwise, it is of no use. Effective implementation of a decision is made possible by directions. Planning, organizing and staffing are concerned only with the preparation for work performance, and it is the direction which stimulates the organization and its staff to execute the plans. Hence, it is also called registered trademark management in action. Every manager gives direction to his subordinates as superior and receives directions as subordinate from his superior. Direction may be defined as a function of management which is related with instructing, guiding and inspiring human factor in the organization to achieve organizational mission and objectives. There are three elements of direction, namely, communication, leadership and motivation. According to Coons and O'Donnell, direction is a complex function that includes all those activities which are designed to encourage subordinates to work effectively and efficiently in both the short and long-term ±. 72//management and entrepreneurship. In the words of Theo Hyman, directing consists of the process and techniques utilized in issuing instructions and making certain that operations carried on originally planned ±. The functions of direction involve two major activities. 1. Giving orders to employees. 2. Leading and motivating them. The order is a device employed by a line manager in directing his immediate subordinates to start an activity, stop it or to modify it. The staff executive does not issue orders. The orders should be clear and complete, compatible with the purpose of the organization and with the personal interest of the organization. Motivation arises interest in the subordinates and leading channelize the efforts of the subordinates in the right direction. 4.2 Principles of directing. While directing, the manager should understand the needs, motives and attitudes of his subordinates. The following principles of directing may be useful to a manager. 1. Harmony of objectives. Individuals and organization have their own objectives. The management should coordinate the individual objectives with the organizational objectives. Directions can integrate their objectives with organizational objectives. 2. Unity of direction or command. An employee should receive orders and instructions only from one superior. If not so, there may be indiscipline and confusion among subordinates and disorder will ensue. 3. Direct supervision. Manager should have direct relationship with their subordinates. Face-to-face communication and personal touch with the subordinates will ensure successful direction. For effective communication, the superior must ensure that plans, policies, responsibilities and orders are fully understood by the subordinates in the right direction. 5. Follow-through. Direction is a continuous process. Mere issuing orders or instructions are not an end itself. Follow is necessary, so the management should watch whether subordinates follow the orders and whether they face difficulties in carrying out the orders or instructions. 4.3 Leadership and leadership styles. The success of a business concern depends upon the ability of its leadership. For example, Microsoft, Reliance, Middle Steels would not have attained their present success but for the able leadership of Bill Gates, Dhirubhai Ambani and Lakshmi Mittal. Every enterprise may have will to do, but this will to do is triggered by leadership. According directing and controlling //73 to Coons and O'Donnell, leadership is generally defined as influence, the art of process of influencing people so that they will strive willingly towards the achievement of group goals ±. The leader is one who guides and directs other people. In the words of Halford and Beatty, leadership is the ability to secure desirable actions from a group or followers voluntarily without the use of coercion ±. 8. Clear distinction can be made between a leader and a manager. The leader emerges out from situations where as a manager is put into his position by appointment. The leader has informal power and a manager has formal power. The leader seeks those very objectives which are the objectives of his subordinates, whereas a manager seeks those objectives which his subordinates do not regard their own. The leaders, while influencing the subordinates, perform the following functions. 1. Taking initiative. The leader has to take all initiative to lead the business activities. He himself should come in the field and take all steps to achieve predetermined targets. Hence a leader is initiator. To guide, the leader has the primary duty of guiding others by communicating instructions and orders. 3. Representation. The leader is a representative of the organization. For encouraging others, the leader is the captain of the team. Encouragement is necessary to build teamwork. The leader must win the confidence of his colleagues. 5. Arbitrator and mediator. The leader has to create a smooth relationship among employees. In addition, he has to settle disputes arising among employees. 6. Planner. The leader makes decisions concerning the ways and means by which the organizational goals can be achieved. 7. Administrator of rewards and punishments. Leaders encourage, upgrade, promote deserving people and reprove, transfer and fine inefficient workers. Learning activity for point 1. Visit a bank and find what functions the bank manager performs as a leader. Leadership styles. Leadership styles are the patterns of behavior which a leader adopts in influencing the behavior of his followers subordinates in the organizational context. These patterns emerge in the leader as he begins to respond in the same fashion under similar conditions. He develops habits of actions that become somewhat predictable to those who work with him. Various researchers have proposed different leadership styles. These styles are either based on either behavioral approach or situational approach as follows. Based on behavioral approach. 1. Power generation. 2. Leadership as a continuum. 74/management and entrepreneurship. 3. Employee production orientation. For Likert management system. 5. Managerial grid. 6. Tridimensional grid. Based on situational approach. 1. Fiedler's contingency model. 2. Hersey and Blanchard's situational model. 3. Path goal model. Leadership styles are also broadly classified based on 3 points of view: motivation, authority and supervision. On the basis of motivation, leadership style can be positive or negative style. In positive style, a leader motivates his followers to work hard by offering them rewards, for example, higher bonus. In negative styles, the leader forces his followers to work hard and punishes them for lower productivity. On the basis of authority, leadership styles are divided into 3 types, namely autocratic, democratic and free rein. Autocratic leadership. An autocratic leader is one who dominates and drives his subordinates through coercion, command and the instilling of fear in his followers. An autocratic leader alone determines policies, plans and makes decisions. He demands strict obedience. Such leaders love power and love to use it for promoting their own ends. They never like to delegate their power, for they fear that they may lose their authority. The merits of this type of leadership is that it can increase efficiency, save time, and get quick results under emergency conditions. Chain of command and division of work are clear. The demerits are: people are treated machine-like cogs without human dignity. 1. Way communication without feedback, and the leader receives little or no input from his subordinates for his decision-making, which is dangerous in the current dynamic environment. Democratic leadership. This style of leadership is also known as participative leadership. As the name itself indicates, in this style, the entire group is involved in goal setting and achieving it. The democratic leader follows the majority opinion as expressed by his group. Subordinates have considerable freedom of action. The leader shows greater concern for his people's interest, is friendly and helpful to them. He is always ready to defend their subordinates individually and collectively. This type of leadership encourages people to develop and grow, receives information and ideas from his subordinates to make decisions, and boosts the morale of employees. The demerits. of this type of leadership are 1. Some leaders may use this style as a way of avoiding responsibility, 2. Can't take enormous amount of time for making decisions. Free rein. In this type of leadership, the leaders exercise absolutely no control. He only provides information, materials and facilities to his subordinates. This type of directing and controlling //75 leadership is employee-centered, and the subordinates are free to establish their own goals and chart out the course of action. This type of leadership can be disaster if the leader does not know well the competence and integrity of his people and their ability to handle this kind of freedom. Figure 4.1 shows the spectrum of leadership styles, where at one end there is no freedom for people and full freedom at the other. Use of authority. Area of freedom permitted to subordinates. Autocratic. Leader-centered method. Democratic. Participative method. Free rein. Employee-centered method. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Figure 4.1, Spectrum of leadership styles. Learning activity 4.2. Classify the leadership styles of head of your department/principal of your institution and classify them on the basis of motivation and authority. 4.4 Motivation. The manager gets work done through others. Getting the work done depends mainly on whether a person has been motivated to do it. Motivating an employee is to create a need and a desire on the part of employee to better his performance. This can be done by creating in him a sense of responsibility and feeling of special interest in his work. Motivation concern itself with registered trademark will to work. It is a behavioral concept by which a manager tries to understand why people behave as they do. Motivation is inspiring the subordinates to contribute with zeal and enthusiasm towards organizational goals. Performance of an employee depends on 2 factors, ability to work and willingness to work. Mathematically, performance equals ability to willingness. Motivation is enhancing the willingness to work, which improves the performance. 76/Management and entrepreneurship. Motivational theories. What can enhance the willingness to work are explained by a number of motivational theories as discussed below. Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Every person has a variety of needs. Some of these needs are satisfied and others are unsatisfied. An unsatisfied need is the starting point in the motivation process. When the person has an unsatisfied need, he attempts to identify something that will satisfy the need. This is called as goal. Once a goal has been identified, he takes action to reach the goal and thereby satisfy the need. Maslow has identified 5 categories of need, which are arranged in hierarchy as shown in Figure 4.2. Self-actualization needs, esteem needs, social needs, security needs, physiological needs. Figure 4.2. Hierarchies of needs. 1. Physiological needs. These are the basic needs for sustaining human life itself, such as food, water, shelter and sleep. Maslow took the position that until these needs are satisfied to the reasonable degree necessary to maintain life, other needs will not motivate people. 2. Security or safety needs. People want to be free of physical danger and of the fear of losing job, property or shelter. 3. Social needs. Since people are social beings, they need to belong, to be accepted by others. 4. Esteem needs. Once people begin to satisfy their need to belonging, they tend to want to be held in esteem both by themselves and by others. This kind of need produces such satisfaction as power, prestige and status. 5. Self-actualization needs. It is desire to become what one is capable of becoming, to maximize one's potential and to accomplish something. Directing and controlling //77. According to Maslow, people attempt to satisfy their physical need first. As long as the needs are unsatisfied, they dominate behavior. As they become reasonably satisfied, they lose their motivational power, and the next level, i.e., security needs, becomes the dominant motivational force. This process continues up the need hierarchy. Hertzberg's 2 factors theory. Frederick Hertzberg and his associates have proposed the 2 factors theory of motivation. In one group of needs are such things as company policy and administration, supervision, working conditions, interpersonal relations, salary, job security and personal life. These are called as dissatisfiers and not motivators. If they exist in a work environment, they yield no dissatisfaction. Their existence does not motivate but their absence result dissatisfaction. Hertzberg called these factors as hygiene or maintenance factors. The second group he listed certain satisfiers and therefore motivators, which are related to job content. They include achievement, recognition, challenging work, advancement and growth in the job. The first group of factors, the dissatisfiers, will not motivate in the organization. Yet they must be present, otherwise dissatisfaction will arise. The second group, or the job content factors, are real motivators because they have the potential of yielding a sense of satisfaction. It means managers must give considerable attention to upgrading job content. Table 4.1 Hygiene factors and motivators. Hygiene factors. Motivators: status, challenging work, interpersonal relations, achievement, quality of supervision, responsibility, company policy and administration, growth in the job, working conditions, advancement, job security, recognition, salary. Vroom's expectancy theory. According to Victor H. Vroom, people's motivation towards doing anything will be determined by the value they place on the outcome of their effort multiplied by the confidence they have that their efforts will materially aid in achieving the goal. Motivation is a product of anticipated worth that an individual places on a goal and the chances he or she sees of achieving that goal. Using his own terms, Vroom's theory may be stated as force equals valency expectancy. 78/Management and Entrepreneurship. Where force is the strength of a person's motivation, valence is the strength of an individual performance for an outcome, and expectancy is the probability that a particular action will lead to a desired outcome. When a person is indifferent about achieving a certain goal, valence is 0. Valence is negative when the person do not achieve goal. In either case there is no motivation. Similarly, there is no motivation to achieve the goal if expectancy is 0 or negative. The force exerted to do something depends on both balance and expectancy. A motive to accomplish some action is determined by the desire to accomplish something else. For example, a person may be willing to work hard to get out a product for a valence in the form of pay balance. Adams' equity theory. This theory points out that people are motivated to maintain their relationship between their performance and reward in comparison to others. For the comparison of his performance and reward with others, people use equity. Equity refers to individuals' subjective judgments about the fairness of the reward he or she gets. In this theory, equity is defined as a ratio between the individual's job inputs such as effort, skill, experience, education and skill compared to the rewards others are receiving for similar job inputs. Person's reward, others' reward equals person input, others' input. If people feel that many are inequitably rewarded, they may be dissatisfied, reduce the quantity and quality of work or leave the organization. They also can ask for a greater reward. If people perceive the reward as equitable, they probably will continue at the same level of output. If people think the rewards are greater than what is considered equitable, they may work harder. These three situations are illustrated in Figure 4.3. Balance or imbalance of rewards. Inequitable rewards, equitable rewards, more than equitable rewards, dissatisfaction, reduced output, quit organization, continuation at same level of output, harder work, discounted reward. Figure 4.3 Equity theory. Directing and controlling //79. In practice, many overestimate their own contributions and the rewards others receive. Certain inequalities may be tolerated for some time by employees, but prolonged feelings of inequity may result in strong reactions. McClelland's need theory. According to McClelland, the three important needs are the need for achievement, the need for affiliation and the need for power. The need for affiliation reflects a desire to interact socially with people. The person with high need for affiliation is concerned about the quality of an important personal relationship. The person who has a high need for power concentrates on obtaining and exercising power and authority. The person is concerned with influencing others and winning arguments. The person with need for achievement is concerned with setting moderately difficult but potentially achievable goals. He does most of the things himself rather than getting them done by others. If the needs of the employees can be accurately measured, organizations can improve the selection and placement process. For example, an employee with high need for affiliation could be placed in a position that would enable the person to achieve. Thus, it is important to identify the behaviors required to perform a set of tasks effectively, and then to determine what individual characteristics are most associated with these behaviors. Carrot and stick approach. Carrot and stick approach of motivation comes from the old story that the best way to make a donkey move is to put a carrot out in front of him or jab him with a stick from behind. The carrot is the reward for moving and the stick is the punishment for not moving. The carrot and stick approach of motivation takes the same view. In motivating people for behavior that is desirable, some carrots, rewards are used such as money, promotion and other financial and non-financial factors. Some sticks, punishments are used to push the people for desired behavior. Though in various theories of motivation, the terms carrot and sticks are avoided, these still form the basis of motivation if administered properly. A role of carrots has been adequately explained in various theories of motivation when these analyze what people want to get from their performance, that is the positive aspect of behavior, and its rewards. Such rewards may be financial or non-financial. The stick also pushes people to engage in positive behavior or overcoming negative behavior. The mixture of both carrot and stick should be used judiciously so that both have positive effects on the motivational profile of the people in the organization. Skinner's reinforcement theory. Psychologist B.F. Skinner has developed another approach for motivation called as positive reinforcement or behavior modification theory. According to his theory, individuals can be motivated by proper design of their work environment and praise for their performance, and that punishment for poor performance produces negative management and entrepreneurship results. They analyze work situations to determine what causes workers to act the way they do, and then they initiate changes to eliminate troublesome areas and instructions to performance. Specific goals are then set with workers' participation and assistance. Prompt and regular feedback is made available, and performance improvements are rewarded with recognition and praise. Even when performance does not equal goals, ways are found to help people and praise them for good things they do. It has also been found highly useful and motivating to give people full information on a company's problems, especially those in which they are involved. This theory emphasizes removal of obstructions to performance, careful planning and organizing, control through feedback, and the expansion of communication. Learning Activity 4.3. If you are managing the department or section of a company, among carrot and stick, which one you prefer to use and under what circumstances? 4.5 Communication. The process of communication is as old as man himself. It is hard to name human activity in which communication does not play an important role. This is true in formal reorganizations in which people assemble to achieve their common objectives through their coordinated efforts. Individuals placed in various departments may perform different activities, but they are functionally interrelated. The working and maintenance of these relationships is possible only through communication. In addition, communication establishes connections of the organization with external community. Communication means the process of passing information and understanding from one person to another. It is defined as degrees, the process of exchange of information, ideas and opinions which bring about integration of interests, aims and efforts among the members of a group organized for achievement of predetermined goals. Communication process. Communication process involves the sender, the transmission of a message through a selected channel, and the receiver as shown in Figure 4.4. Thought encoding, transmission of message, reception, decoding, understanding, feedback, noise. Figure 4.4. The communication process model directing and controlling / 81. The sender of the message. Communication begins with the sender, who has a thought or idea which is then encoded in a way that can be understood by both the sender and the receiver. It is usual to think of encoding a message into the English language, but there are many other ways of encoding, such as translating thought into a computer language. Use of channel to transmit the message. The information is transmitted over a channel that links the sender and receiver. The message may be oral or written, and it may be transmitted through a memorandum, the computer, telephone, telegram, or television. Television, of course, also facilitates the transmission of gestures and visual clues. At times, two or more channels are used in a telephone conversation. For instance, two persons may reach a basic agreement that they later confirm by a letter. Since many choices are available, each with advantages and disadvantages, the proper selection of the channel is vital for effective communication. The receiver of the message. The receiver has to be ready for the message so that it can be decoded into thought. The next step in the process is decoding, in which the receiver converts the message into thought. Accurate communication can occur only when both the sender and the receiver attach the same or at least similar meanings to the symbols that compose the message. Thus, it is obvious that a message encoded into French required the receiver who understands French. Similarly, a message in technical or professional jargon requires a recipient who understands such language. So, communication is not complete unless it is understood. The understanding is in both the sender and the receiver. 4.6 Noise and feedback in communication. Unfortunately, communication is affected by registered trademark noise, which is anything, whether in the sender, the transmission, or the receiver, that hinders communication. For example, encoding may be faulty because of ambiguous symbols, inaccurate retention because of inattention of the receiver. Decoding may be faulty because of wrong meaning attached to the words and symbols by the receiver, or transmission may be interrupted, which may be experienced in a poor telephone connection. To check the effectiveness of communication, the person must have feedback. One never is sure whether or not a message has been effectively encoded, transmitted and decoded, or understood until it is confirmed by feedback. Similarly, feedback indicates whether individual or organizational change has taken place as a result of communication. 4.7 Importance of communication. The purpose of communication is to effect change, to influence action towards the welfare of the enterprise. Communication is essential because it integrates the managerial function. Figure 4.5 graphically shows not only communication facilities the managerial functions, but also that communication relates an enterprise to its external 82//management and entrepreneurship environment. It is through information exchange that manager become aware of the needs of the customers, the availability of suppliers, the claims of stakeholders, etc. The communication is important because of the following. 1. Every aspect of manager's job, may it be planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling, involves communication. Researches have shown that about 75% of the manager's time is spent in communication. Nothing contributes so much to managerial effectiveness as effective communication. Managers do not deal with registered trademark things, but with registered trademark information about things. 3. However, the decisions at the top they will serve no purpose unless the manager successfully communicate the implications of these decisions to the subordinates who are to implement them. For communication is the essence of organized activity. It is the basis of direction and leadership. The managers have to communicate, to give instructions, orders, to assign jobs, and to fix responsibility. 5. Communication renders the complexity of business intelligible and workable. 6. The better the communication, the more efficient the work performance. Good communication not only attains manager's effectiveness but organizational effectiveness too. Communication. External environment. Customers, suppliers, stockholders, government, community, others. Planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling. Figure 4.5 The purpose of communication. 4.8 Channels of communication. A channel of communication is a path through which information flows throughout the organization. The numerous channels used in the organization constitute its directing and controlling //83 registered trademark communication network. The channels of communications are divided into formal and informal channels. Accordingly, the communication may be formal or informal communication. The paths of communication which are deliberately created and officially recognized, connecting various positions in the organization hierarchy, are called as formal channels. Informal communication information flows in formally established channels and is concerned with work-related matters. All orders, instructions, etc. are communicated to the subordinates through this channel. The path of communication which is not officially created is known as informal channel. People who know each other talk together informally about the happenings in the organization. People want to know what is going on in the organization. When they are not kept informed through formal channels, they seek information through informal channel. Grapevine. The grapevine carries the type of personal information not generally communicated through formal channels. Grapevine operates like a cluster chain. 4.9 Types of communication. Based on the direction of flow of information, communications are classified as upward, downward, and horizontal communication. Downward communication. Downward communication flows from people at higher level to those at the lower levels in the organizational hierarchy. The purpose of downward communication is to communicate policies, procedures, programs and objectives, and to issue orders and instructions to subordinates. Upward communication. Upward communication travels from subordinates to superiors. Upward communication is generally non-directive. Typical means of upward communications are suggestion systems, appeal and grievance procedures, complaint systems, etc. Horizontal communication. It refers to transmission of information among positions of the same level. Horizontal communication helps to coordinate the activities of different departments. The production foreman and the maintenance foreman communicate directly without going through their managers. In this way, horizontal communication avoids the much slower procedure of directing communication through a common superior. 4.10 Forms of communication. Broadly speaking, there are three forms of communications: oral, written and nonverbal. Oral communication. In oral or verbal communication, information is given directly, either face-to-face or through a telephone or intercom system, generally in meeting. 84/Management and entrepreneurship. Lectures, interviews, conferences, etc. The communication is oral. The oral communication saves time and money, involves personal touch, doubt can be clarified immediately. The demerits of oral communications are: there is no permanent record of communication and is not suitable for lengthy communication. Written communication. Written communication is always in black and white and may be in the form of a report, statement, circular, manual, handbook, letter or memo. The merits of written communication are: A. It is a permanent record. B. It is suitable for lengthy communication. C. If the parties are far away beyond telephonic range, written communication is the only way. The demerits of written communications are: it is not flexible and secrecy cannot be maintained and time-consuming. Nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is expressed through the body. See the facial expression, posture, gestures, etc. Learning activity. 4.4 Prepare organization chart of your institute and indicate on it the horizontal, upward and downward communication. 4.11 Coordination. The basic function of coordination in an enterprise is the same as that of an orchestra conductor who directs the activities of the orchestra party in such a manner that it produces harmony in music. Likewise, the coordinator of an enterprise also directs the activities of the group in such a manner that it brings harmonious and unified actions to achieve common purpose. Like the orchestra conductor, the manager also performs the function of securing and maintaining unity of direction throughout the organization. The management of a modern enterprise is based on the principles of division of labor and specialization. Jobs are broken down into single repetitive tasks and are entrusted to individuals either working in the same department or in different department of the enterprise. Mere application of specialization is not enough. With the jobs specialized and jobs divided among units, coordination becomes necessary. Coordination is the management of interdependence in work situations. It is an orderly synchronization of the interdependent efforts of individuals. According to Terry Degrees, coordination deals with the task of blending efforts in order to ensure successful attainment of an objective. It is accomplished by means of planning, organizing, directing and controlling plus minus. Terry considers coordination as a permeating function of management, passing through the managerial functions of planning, organizing, directing and controlling. In the words of Mooney and Rayleigh, Degrees coordination is the orderly directing and controlling / 85 arrangement of group efforts to provide unity of action in pursuit of a common purpose plus minus. Some experts consider coordination as a separate management function. However, coordination might best be considered not as a separate function, but as an essential part of all managerial functions of planning, organizing, directing and controlling. If a manager performs these functions efficiently and expertly, coordination is generated automatically and there remains no need for special coordination as such. 4.12 Coordination and Cooperation. The terms registered trademark coordination and registered trademark cooperation cannot be used interchangeably because they have got different meanings. Coordination is an orderly arrangement of group efforts to provide unity of action in the pursuit of common objectives. It is a process of deliberately bringing together the efforts of various components of an enterprise in order to give them unity of purpose. Cooperation notes the collective efforts by the persons working in the enterprise voluntarily for accomplishing a particular purpose. It is the willingness of the individuals to help each other. Thus, it is obvious that the concept of coordination is broader in scope than that of cooperation. The differences between cooperation and coordination are given in Table 4.2. Table 4.2. Distinction between coordination and cooperation. Basis coordination cooperation. 1. Definition: it is a deliberate effort by a manager. It is voluntary attitude of organization members. 2. Purpose: it is an orderly arrangement of group. It denotes collective efforts to provide unity of action in the group contributed voluntarily. The pursuit of common objectives to accomplish a particular objective. 3. Relations: it is achieved through both formal cooperation arises out of and informal relations. Informal relations. 4. Result: coordination seeks wholehearted cooperation without coordination. Support of employees and is fruitless. Departments. 4.13 Importance of coordination. An organization is a consciously coordinated system of cooperative human endeavor focused towards achievement of certain goals. The need of cooperation arises because registered trademark: what one can do, two can. What one can do, two can do better. The need for coordination arises due to differential perceptions, orientation, interests and attitudes of individual members of the organization. In the absence of coordination, members are likely to pull in different directions. There may also be destructive conflict of interests. 86/Management and Entrepreneurship and Goals. Coordination is intended to channelize cooperative efforts and behavior of people along organizationally determined lines and to contain the possibilities of conflict within tolerable limits. An organization represents a pooling of diverse resources and facilities, adopted of diverse skills, techniques, processes and practices, determination and achievement of diverse goals and initiation of diverse activities. Diversity demands unity. To manage diversity means to bring about unity or unification. Otherwise, diversity is likely to lead to disintegration. The managerial function of coordinator strives for desired degree of unity without destroying diversity. Apart from differentiation of activities and authority, organization goals are differentiated into sub-goals among various units and levels of organization. Organizational goals are also operationalized into strategies, policies, plans and programs. There is a means and chain in the organization. At every level, goals operationalized into means of achieving them. means of higher level units become the goals of next lower unit. There, his need for consistency and compatibility among the various elements in the means ends chain. Sub-goals are to contribute to the overall goals. Means are to match ends. Short-term goals are to match in with long-term goals. The coordination is important. To achieve correlation between means and ends. 4.14 Techniques of coordination. Managers can use a number of techniques to enlist coordination. Some of the techniques of coordination are discussed below. 1. Clearly defined objectives. Each and every organization has its own objectives. These objectives would be clearly defined. Then the employees of all the organization should understand the objectives of the organization well. Unity of purpose is a must for achieving proper coordination. 2. Effective chain of command. There is a line of authority in every enterprise which indicates as to who is accountable to whom. The line of authority and responsibility should be clearly defined to achieve coordination. Clear-cut authority relationship help in reducing conflicts among different positions, particularly line and staff, which is essential for sound coordination. 3. Precise and comprehensive programs and policies. Laying down well-defined programs and policies is another measure for achieving effective coordination. This brings uniformity of actions because everybody understands the programs and policies in the same sense. 4. Planning. Planning ensures coordinated efforts. Under planning, target of each department dovetail with the targets of all other departments. For example, fixing the target of 50,000 units. Directing and controlling /87 of additional production and sale for production and sales department respectively. The head of the organization can be fairly sure that the work of the two departments would be coordinated since their targets so demand. 5. Cooperation. Cooperation is the result of better relations among employees of the organization. Cooperation can be brought about by keeping harmonious relations among the people in the organization, by encouraging informal contacts to supplement formal communication, and using committees for exchange of ideas and views at the top level. 6. Liaison of officers/departments. The person who acts as a link between two persons is called a liaison officer. The external coordination is obtained through him. Many large organizations depend on this officer to maintain cordial relations with government and outsiders. In some cases, where there is a large volume of contact between two departments, a liaison department evolves to handle the transactions. This typically occurs between sales and production departments. For example, a packaging company that is processing a large order of containers might have a liaison department to make sure that the production department is meeting the client's specifications and that the delivery will take place on time. 7. Induction. Inducting the new employee into the new social setting of his work is also a coordinating mechanism. This device familiarizes the new employee with the organization's rules and regulations, its dominant norms of behavior, values and beliefs, and integrates his personnel goals with the organizational goals. 8. Incentives. Incentives may be in the form of increments in the scale of pay, bonus, profit sharing, etc. These schemes of incentives promote better team spirit, which subsequently ensures better coordination. In particular, profit sharing promotes team spirit and better cooperation between superiors and subordinates, between employees and employers. Mutuality of interest reduces strife and ensures better coordination. 9. Workflow. The workflow is the sequence of steps by which the organization acquires inputs and transforms them into outputs and exports these to the environment. It is largely shaped by technological, economic and social considerations and helps in coordination. 4.15 Managerial control. Registered trademark control is an important concept and process in management. In the past, managers believed that the necessity of control arose only when something went wrong. Then, 88/Management and Entrepreneurship. The object of control was to find out the person responsible for these events and take actions against him. This is only negative view of control. In modern management, The primary object of control is to bring to light the mistakes or variations as soon as they appear between performance and standard laid down, and then to take steps to prevent such variations in future. The control is aimed at results and not people as such. Its purpose is to assure that intended results occur and not that particular workers are reprimanded. Only a continuous control and not the occasional hand emergency control can achieve the objective. According to E.F.L. Bresch, degrees control is checking current performance against predetermined standards contained in the plans, with the view to ensuring adequate progress and satisfactory performance plus minus. In the words of George R. Terrier, degrees controlling is determining what is being accomplished, that is, evaluating the performance and if necessary applying corrective measures so that the performance takes place according to plans plus minus. To draw an analogy, it is like a thermostat in an air conditioning system which ensures that predetermined temperature is maintained. The concept of control is often confused with lack of freedom. The opposite of control is not freedom but chaos or anarchy. Control is fully consistent with freedom. In fact, they are interdependent. Without control, freedom cannot be sustained for long. Without freedom, control becomes ineffective. Both autonomy, freedom, and accountability are embedded in the concept of control. 4.16 Steps in a control process. There are 3 basic steps in a control process, namely establishment of standards, measurement of performance and comparing the performance with the standards, and taking corrective action. 1. Establishment of standards. The first step in control process is the setting up of standards of performance. The standard acts as a reference line or a basis of actual performance. Standards should be set precisely and in quantitative terms. Standards expressed in vague or general terms such as degrees costs should be reduced plus minus, or degrees rejections should be reduced plus minus are not specific, as degrees cost should be reduced by 10% plus minus, or degrees rejections should be reduced to 0.5% plus minus. Standards are used as the criteria or benchmarks by which performance is measured in the control process. Since standards cannot be set for entire operations, each organization must first develop its own list of key result areas for the purpose of control. Different standards of performance are set up for various operations at the planning stage. As a matter of fact, planning is the basis of control. Standards are to be flexible in order to adopt changing conditions. For example, a new salesman who seems to be an above-average performer should have his sales standard adjusted accordingly. Every objective, goal, policy, procedure and budget directing and controlling //89 becomes a standard against which actual performance might be measured. However, in practice, different types of standards used are 1. Physical standards such as units of production per hour. 2. Cost standards, such as direct and indirect cost per unit. 3. Revenue standards such as sales per customer. 4. Capital standards such as rate of return of capital invested. 5. Intangible standards such as competency of managers and employees. 2. Measuring and comparing actual performance with standards. The second step in the control process is measuring the actual performance of individuals, group, or units and comparing it with the standards. The quantitative measurement should be done in cases where standards have been set in numerical terms. This will make evaluation easier and simple. In all other cases, the performance should be measured in terms of qualitative factors, as in the case of performance of industrial relations manager. His performance should be measured in terms of attitude of workers, frequency of strikes and morale of workers. In general, measurement of performance can be done by personal observation, as in the case of the subordinates being observed while they are engaged in work, or by the study of various summaries of figures, reports, charts and statements. Once the performance is measured, it should be compared with the standards to detect deviations. Some deviations are desirable, such as the output above the standard, but some other variations are undesirable, such as a variation in the delivery schedule agreed upon with the customer. The measurement and comparison are to be made at various stages in the total process and not at the end. 3. Taking corrective action. The final step in the control process is taking corrective action so that deviations may not occur again and the objectives of the organization are achieved. This will involve taking certain decisions by the management like replanning, or redrawing of goals or standards, reassignment or classification of duties. It may also necessitate reforming the process of selection and training of workers. This control function may require change in all other managerial functions. If the standards are found to be defective, they will be set up again in the light of observations. Joseph Massey has pointed out that a manager may commit to types of mistakes at this stage. The first is, he may take action when no action is needed. The second is he may fail to take action when some corrective action is needed. A good control system should provide some basis for helping the manager estimate the risks of making either of these types of errors. Of course, the final test of a control system is whether correct action is taken at the correct time. 4.17 Essentials of a sound control system. The essentials of a sound control system are as follows. 90/Management and entrepreneurship. 1. Suitable. The control system should be appropriate to the nature and needs of the activity. For example, the machine-based method of production requires control system which is different from the system that is used in labor-intensive methods of production. Thus every enterprise should develop such a control system that would serve its purpose. To timely and forward-looking, the control system should be directed towards future. It should report all the deviations from the standards quickly in order to safeguard the future. The feedback system should be as short and as quick as possible. If the control reports are not directed at future, they are of no use as they will not be able to suggest the types of measures to be taken to rectify the past deviations. 3. Objective and comprehensible. The control system should be both objective and understandable. Objective controls specify the expected results in clear and definite terms and leave little room for the argument by the employees. They provide employees with direct access to any additional information which they may need to perform their task. Employees are not made to go up and down the hierarchy to get the information. For flexible, control system should be flexible so that it can be adjusted to suit the needs of any change in the environment. It should be adaptable to new developments including the failure of the control system itself. 5. Economically, another requirement of a good control system is economy. The benefits derived from the control system should be more than the cost involved in implementing it. 6. Control by exceptions. This is also known as degrees management by exception plus minus. According to this principle, only significant deviations from standards, whether positive or negative requirement management as they constitute exceptions. An attempt to go through all deviations tends to increase unnecessary work and decrease attention on important problems. 7. Prescriptive and operational. A control system in order to be effective and adequate must not only detect deviations, but should also provide solutions to the problems that cause deviations. In other words, the system should be prescriptive and operational. It must disclose where failures are occurring, who is responsible for them and what should be done about them. It must focus more on action than on information. 8. Acceptable to organization members. The system should be acceptable to organization members. When standards are set unilaterally by upper-level managers, there is a danger that employees will regard those standards as unreasonable or unrealistic. They may then refuse to meet them. 9. Motivation. A good control system should be employee-centered. The control system is designed to secure positive reactions from employees. If large directing and controlling /91 deviations are found, the employees will be properly directed and guided, instead of being punished. The very purpose of a control is prevention and not punishing. 4.18 Control methods. Control methods are broadly classified into two types, namely past-oriented controls and future-oriented controls. Past-oriented controls. Past-oriented control measure results after the process. These are also known as post-action controls. They examine what has happened in the past for a particular period Examples of past-oriented controls are accounting records, school grade reports, etc. These controls are used to plan future behavior in the light of post errors or successes. They can also be used for rewarding, discipline, training or promoting individuals. Future-oriented controls. These are also known as feed-forward controls or steering controls. These controls are designed to measure results during the process, so that action can be taken before the job is done or the period is over. Feed-forward control serve as warning posts principally to direct attention rather than to evaluate. Examples of such controls are cash flow and funds flow analysis, network planning, etc., which help managers to see that they will have problems in such areas of cash or on-time delivery unless they take prior action. Inputs, process, outputs. Future-oriented control, past-oriented control. Feedback. Feed-forward. Figure 4.6. Comparison of past-oriented and future-oriented controls. These two types of controls are not alternatives to each other. Organizations use both these types. Future-oriented controls are important because the information feedback in them is at the input side of the system, so that correction can be made before the system output is affected, as shown in Figure 4.6. Even with the use of past-oriented controls, the manager would still want to measure a final system output, since nothing can be expected to work perfectly enough to give the confidence that the final output will always be exactly as is desired. 90/Management and Entrepreneurship. Chapter Summary. According to Kuhns, direction is a complex function that includes all those activities which are designed to encourage subordinates to work effectively and efficiently in both short and long term. The function of direction involves two major activities, namely giving orders to employees, leading and motivates them. Leadership is generally defined as influence, the art of process of influencing people so that they will strive willingly towards achievement of group goals. The leader is one who guides and directs other people. The leader is a guide, planner, arbitrator and administrator. On the basis of authority, leadership styles are divided into three categories, namely autocratic, democratic and free rein. Motivating is inspiring the subordinates to contribute with zeal and enthusiasm towards organizational goals. What can motivate people is explained by a number of motivational theories. The important among them are Maslow's need hierarchy theory, Hertzberg's two factors theory, Adams' equity theory, M.C. Cleland's need theory, Skinner's reinforcement theory, and so on. Communication is the process of exchange of information, ideas and opinions, which bring about integration of interests, aims and efforts among members of a group, organized for achievement of predetermined goals. Communication process involves the sender, the transmission of a message through a selected channel, and the receiver. The communication may be formal or informal. Based on the direction of flow of information, communication may be classified as upward, downward and horizontal. Different forms of communication are oral, written and nonverbal. Coordination deals with the task of blending efforts in order to ensure successful attainment of an objective. Control is checking current performance against predetermined standards contained in the plans with view to ensuring adequate progress and satisfactory performance. Control involves three steps, namely establishing standards, measuring and comparing actual performance with standards, and taking corrective action. 1. Explain in brief the meaning and nature of direction. 2. What do you mean by leadership? Explain various styles of leadership. 3. What do you understand by motivation? Why people are to be motivated? 4. Explain in brief the following motivation theories. A. Maslow's need hierarchy theory. B. Hertzberg's two factors theory. C. Adams' equity theory. D. M.C. Cleland needs theory. E. Skinner's reinforcement theory. Questions. Directing and controlling / 93. 5. With block diagram explain the communication process. 6. Explain the importance of feedback in communication. 7. Registered trademark without communication organization cannot function +- justify the statement. 8. Explain in brief formal and informal communication. 9. Write a note on the followings. A. Types of communication. B. Forms of communication. 10. Define coordination. Distinguish it from cooperation. 11. Write a note on the followings. A. Importance of coordination. B. Techniques of coordination. 12. Explain the steps involved in managerial control. 13. Explain the techniques of control. 14. Explain in brief the essentials of good control system.